stuff. Other wins, other bucket fills.
And I want to give a shout out to our Grand County agents who have been a fabulous team and super supportive and are just killing it a little bit up north. So especially thanks to Lindsay and JC and Andrew and Monica, just for all of the support that you've given and for just plugging into everything and just really living what our culture is. Also Carrie and Brenda, but I'll see you sooner. I've seen them more recently. So thank you to everybody who is just filling up our collective cups.
I love that, Leslie. Thanks for sharing. Anybody else? Bucket fills, wins.
The weather.
The
weather.
Leslie, are you on your beautiful retreat now?
No, I'm in my home office. That's a friggin' disaster.
Oh no.
So I got lots of work ahead of me.
Okay.
But
well, I'd like to share.
Okay.
I went by the guide that if you reach out to your sphere of influence, you can be quite successful. I contacted a gentleman I had met about a year ago. I thought I had found him a property that he would like. He wrote back to me, I would like to put in an offer. And within less than 36 hours from the time I sent out a message to him, and we viewed the property virtually, an offer was made and the offer was accepted. So it really does work. I just wanted
Good for you,
to
Marla.
share that.
Yay.
Well, and with that too, Marla, I'm so proud of you because you've been with us a few months now, and you've got 2 properties under contract.
Right. One was sold. Thank you.
And one was sold. That's right. That's a great testament to your buyers and your ability to close deals, and it's really exciting, and we're so glad to have you.
Thank you. And for our
Yay.
team, the reason I even shared this is because it cost me $0 to do that. So when we hear from our gurus that we are sitting on say a gold mine, book of business, whatever, it's true. We all have clients. It's just a matter of knowing what their desires are and feeling confident enough to go and approach them with it.
That's great.
Thank you.
I actually have a quick shout out to Miss Marla because she recently came over.
Can't hear you.
From, let's see, I don't know why.
Make it louder.
We
Can
can
you hear
hear
me
you.
now?
Just speak
Okay.
up or lean into your speaker.
I don't really know where the speaker is.
Oh, there you go. Just talk louder. We can hear you.
So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Miss Marla because she actually just recently, like Ryan said, came over from Engel and Vogler's. And one of her associates has joined us because of her kind words about Keller Williams, Stephanie Uberbacher. So thank you so much for bringing another lovely lady into our midst, into our family. We're very grateful for you. Thank you, Miss Marla.
Thank you, Riva. Lovely of you to say. And Stephanie is very kind.
That's right. Well, good stuff. Let's get moving along in our meeting this morning. I'm so grateful to have you all. And we are going to take a moment, if you will, and please scan this QR code. We would love your feedback on the lift. We've been doing this for some time. Russ usually leads this. Last week, Leslie was kind enough from the Summit office to lead this. And we just want to hear your feedback on how we can improve, what's working and what's not. And we are, these meetings, the lift has been such a value add to our market centers, and I'm excited to continue to move them forward, but we do want your feedback moving forward. Some base camp buzz. So Wednesday, 10/8 from 12:30 p.m. fast track coaching series. Take more listings now. Please RSVP for this each Wednesday. Just a few more weeks here, online Zoom meeting. And then Thursday, 10/9 at 12 p.m. Convert sellers to closing. And these are each Thursday through 10/23. Fast Track Coaching Series, a $50 donation to Laura Cardin's Kids Scholarship Fund requested. That would be very nice to donate to her recent loss. And then 10/14, 10 a.m., top of the Rockies team meeting at Lindsay Morrow's office in Granby and Zoom. New start time in person only, KW Mountain Properties team meeting. So moving forward through the fall and the winter, we're going to start moving our in-person meeting to right after the lift, just so we don't have that gap. Historically, our meetings have been at 11 a.m. and we're going to close that gap just so we can get more participation from all of you. And I will also include information during that in-person meeting that we're not covering on these weekly lifts. So please get to the office for that. On 10/20 at 11 a.m., October Regional Rally with Top Agent Panel. 10/22 Business Planning Clinic with Leslie Peters in Denver. Please sign up for this. I am going. Is there anybody else going here? You can just put a thumbs up in the chat. And then 10/28, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Quantum Leap with Savannah Campbell at the Frisco office. Save the date for our 12/4 Keller Williams Mountain Properties holiday party. Sarah, are we doing that at the GOAT again this year?
We haven't completely confirmed location, but that is for sure the date. And I don't know if Top of the Rockies has their date secured. It's either the day before or after hours.
Okay. Okay, so more information on that.
Oh, 12/3 for Top of the Rockies.
12/3.
Just save the date. You guys just be aware that your holiday parties are locked in date-wise.
That's right. We're coming into that season. Okay, trail reports. So we're going to talk language of real estate and luxury for a few moments here. And I've just got some statistics up on the screen. Total luxury listings sold in Keller Williams from January 1st through August 31st of this year. 16,789 transactions with a total of 27.3 billion in sales volume. Total luxury buyer closing 17,341 with 29 billion. Total luxury closings over 34,000 with 56.3 billion. Transactions involving referrals 5,252 with almost 20 billion in transactions. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why it is so important at KW when we talk about value and how much value our brokerage offers to our agents. This is why Keller Williams is so special, because anytime we go to family reunion, mega agent camp, or even our Rocky Mountain Summit that we just were involved in, you will generate referral business when you go to these events. I have personally generated referral business. I know Travis Cox, he comes top of mind, who's in our Grand Junction office. We all know Travis, and who also works in Glenwood. He does a lot of referral business, and this is why KW is such a special place. And also, agents who have transacted in over $1 million on the buy or sell side at over 17,000 agents. And here are some statistics that I find kind of interesting. Year-over-year monthly comparison. These numbers represent transactions over $1 million in the US and Canada. And something that gives me a lot of hope, ladies and gentlemen, when you look at the number of transactions that are over $1 million, the blue graph represents 2024, and the orange graph represents this year in 2025. And if you look across, it's relatively flat, which is pretty good news, considering there's a lot of chatter in our industry right now about it being a tough market. How many people have heard that it is tough right now and agents are struggling with their business? But the fact of the matter is, agents willing to put in the work are transacting, and the data points show us that it's pretty flat across the board. There's some months where there is a larger number, but generally speaking, it's pretty flat. September looks down, but maybe that's a fluke, or I don't know if we don't have all the data yet. But overall, the everything looks pretty good, and the number of agents with transactions over $1 million here, it's relatively flat. Does anybody have any thoughts about that they want to share?
And just a heads up, the September data is just some preliminary numbers that were coming in because this report's just through the end of August.
That's right.
So ignore September.
Right. But the takeaway that I gather from this is that we are still in a market where people are buying and selling homes, especially in the luxury market. Because remember something, ladies and gentlemen, when you're talking about luxury transactions, these buyers and sellers, from my own experience selling luxury properties here in Eagle County, are less interested in what's going on with interest rates or the stock market. Most of the buyers and sellers that I have personally dealt with in our region, they buy or sell for reasons above and beyond what's going on in the noise in the world and the news. And these individuals buy based on lifestyle decisions. So there is work to be done, and there are transactions to be had. Luxury hotspots. This is interesting. California, look at the number of transactions in these regions. Look at California leading 8,972, followed by New Jersey, 2,307, and Texas and Florida and Ontario, Canada are right around that same pace. Then it starts to drop down a bit when you get to Washington, Georgia, Massachusetts, and Virginia. Interesting, Colorado is not on this list. A Keller Williams agent helps a luxury buyer or seller close every 10 minutes, day and night. Basecamp Buzz, fast track coaching. Please scan this QR code and get in and get focused and get results with our fast track coaching series. Take board listings now and convert sellers at closing. 2 powerful sessions held each week for a total of 6 sessions held in person at our market center. Proven strategies, real results. Again, we talked about this briefly on our calendar a few minutes ago. Every Wednesday, 12:30 and Thursday at 12 o'clock, respectively, Mountain Time, up until October 22nd and 23rd. And right now, we're going to just talk about the rise and top producers in September on individuals. We have Carrie George with a closed volume of 5,616,000. Brenda Kellen with a closed volume of 3.7 million. And then Tony Giacconi with 3.6 million. So congratulations to Carrie, Brenda, and Callan. And then September top producers by team: the Thompson Group, closed volume 11 million. The Skinner team, closed volume 4.9 million, and the Signature Home team with a closed volume of $4.1 million. Congratulations to these top teams. And then September top producers: Ryan Richards, closed volume 2.1. Stephen Bracci, congratulations on your first closing at 697,000. And then Sarah Parrish had a closed volume of 540,000. Top teams and producers, excuse me, for the month of September: the Gold team with 2.1 million, Rocky Mountain Home team closed volume 1.6 million, and Team Black Bear $850,000. Congratulations, team, for your hard work and dedication in the month of September. And so, meeting real estate movers and shakers with Chair Chat. Today we have such a special guest that I'm excited to introduce now, Jeff Yarbrough. Jeff is one of Keller Williams' most accomplished luxury agents, and he began his career at the boutique brokerage DBL before moving to Sotheby's and ultimately making his home at Keller Williams Beverly Hills, where he leads the office #1 luxury team. He is ranked one of the absolute top agents in Keller Williams worldwide for more than 15 years, and his team have closed over 1.2 billion in sales in a single year, all while weaving philanthropy into their brand through annual charitable giving, including his support for Pug Nation LA. Known as a dynamic speaker on luxury real estate at national and international KW events, Jeff brings unmatched insight into building a thriving business, giving back, and leading at the highest level. Jeff, welcome to the chat today.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. When I'm talking, if you want to pop a question into chat, that'd be great. Just because sometimes I'll go kind of off the chair rail onto topics that I'm really interested in, and you may not. By the way, I want to correct this. We've never done 1.2 billion in sales in a single year. That's our entire office, which is comprised of, at any given time, around 500 agents. Just as an example, our team in September, you were talking about September numbers, which I think give us a little more ground beneath our feet. We closed 25 million in September for a total GCI of around $500,000. So that, and I think that was 6 sides. So that's more the cadence of our team in terms of production.
That's amazing. And so, Jeff, tell me, I got to ask you, are you a skier or snowboarder by chance?
I was, until a doctor told me if I ever get on a pair of skis again, he's not going to treat me anymore.
Oh, really? Maybe you should find a new doctor.
Maybe I should. No, I
Well,
skied
so
growing up. I was a member of ski club when I was in elementary school and also into high school. Some of my most formative years were spent in Volkswagen vans driving from Southern California to Mammoth Mountain with a bunch of kids and sleeping in cabins and bunk beds. And it was a wonderful part of my upbringing in the winter.
So are you from California?
Yes, from Central California.
Okay, so born and raised.
Yeah.
Okay, and what did you do before you got into real estate, Jeff?
I was in a Columbia graduate in English literature and went on to work as a magazine writer and editor, mostly in the celebrity space. And around the late 90s, something happened in the world. It was called the World Wide Web. And so writers were devalued immediately. You think about it now with AI, what's happening in so many spaces of business, not just journalism or creativity spaces, but all across the board. I mean, we're using AI every single day. There's not a day now that goes by that I don't use it to do something. I mean, I was up all night helping buyers and sellers every 10 minutes closing luxury transactions. Apparently that's what we do at Keller Williams. So but no, it's I left that field because basically, money was becoming a problem in that space dramatically. So I rolled into real estate because it was something I'd always had a passion doing and had been working with a contractor, an investor, and a couple of designers who were friends, and just sort of watching them flip properties in LA. And so it was a logical transition for me. That was in 2002. So I'm in my 23rd year. We were looking the other day, it's my 19th year at KWBH. So the vast majority of my time has been as a KW agent, a KW luxury agent. And personally, I've closed 784 million.
It's amazing. And tell me just briefly, Jeff, when you say that you're using AI consistently in your business, what does that look like?
Well, it's kind of like having an in-house lawyer to some degree. I mean, a lot of people would find that conversation very controversial, but I find that it can take an email, it can take a point you're trying to make, it can, something to add to our contracts in terms of an addendum. and give you examples of language that can head a certain direction, either be stronger, more legalese, softer, more cooperative. I have several voices in my head. I know that sounds strange, but I can write in several voices depending on what I want to convey. I only speak in one, but I find AI makes that an easy shortcut. And in the luxury space, I'm dealing with business managers, lawyers, accountants, advocates of clients, partnerships, LLCs, S corps. There's multiple people involved in one transaction. I just closed a deal for 15.5 in the month of September, and there must have been 6 or 7 people on my side of the deal that were not agents. So everyone must be communicated with at all times, and it used to take an enormous amount of time, as you guys know, dealing with high net worth people, to update them in an ongoing basis throughout the day. The days of giving a daily update are gone. It's more like an hourly update, and I don't have time for that. So I use chat as a helper.
It's great. Why KW?
Really easy answer. That's the biggest softball question people give me, because I came from a boutique brokerage. I was trained and mentored in the entertainment business real estate space. So I was immediately inaugurated into kind of a team environment, if you will. It was a brokerage that was focused on one client of many faces. And so I learned the value of teamwork in real estate. I was not on a team. There were no teams. It was just all for one, one for all. Then we were sold to Sotheby's. About 25 of us signed a deal. You guys have probably heard of these deals more recently from Compass. So we were kind of packaged and bought and made deals to go to Sotheby's. And then I realized, that's not what real estate's really about. It's really a very small fish tank full of very large sharks. And there was no teamwork. There was no camaraderie. It was all for one, and one was it. And so I read Gary's book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and I was like, that's what I want to do. So KW was the only place at that point that had figured out how to monetize teams, how to make those work financially, both for the company, the corporate level, the franchise level, and for the team lead and the agents. So I went to KW. I partnered with a top luxury agent with the intent of building a team. That partnership didn't work out, and I ended up building my own team. And now I'm on what I call version 3 of my team building efforts, and the current one is the best I've ever done. So that's very gratifying.
And how does your team define luxury? And I'll add another question to that. How do you maintain that brand?
Yeah. Brady and I have been close, both as I call it real estate friends, and then you have your friends, and there's 2 concentric circles that are just very, very slightly overlapped. You know how really close you can be to a real estate friend, but they're not really in your life. They're in your life a lot in real estate, but they're not in your personal life. Brady's somebody who both of those circles sit on top of each other. He's both in my personal life and in my professional life, and has been there as long as I can remember. We were thinking about where we met and how, and neither of us, we're at a stage now where we have so much scar tissue in our brains from real estate, we can't really figure that out. I think that's lost for the ages, but it's been a very long time. And so he and I are constantly interfacing about these questions. And we agree probably 95% of the time. I think the definition of luxury isn't about the client or the property, it's about the level of service you provide. And as long as you're providing luxury level service to everyone that you're working with, it doesn't matter to us. You know, somebody sent me an email yesterday on the team apologizing for writing a contract for $480,000, you know, and I was like, he's one of the best agents on the team, and he's going to treat that person with, you know, white gloves and you know, and terrific service, just like he always does. But that's an example of, I think, people getting too wrapped up in the trappings of luxury. If you provide that level of service, you will attract people in all price ranges, because that's what the luxury buyer is really looking for. And defending the brand, it's the same thing. It's all about messaging and outward action. If you know, whether it's a review on Zillow, or whether it's a client sending me an email complimenting a team member, or whether it's one of my clients referring me to 4 or 5 or 6 people over the course of our history together, I understand that the only reason that happens, it's not because I have a cool logo, because I don't. It's not because I spend an inordinate amount of time on marketing. I don't. It's about what we're putting out into the world and what's coming back to us. And that to me is where the brand becomes important. Is when someone says Jeff Yarbrough Group, oh, do you know Jeff from Jeff Yarbrough Group? Oh yeah, that luxury team. Well, that's a perception they have, not a perception that is 100% accurate or something that we have tried to push.
And how do you believe separate? How do you believe for an average agent who maybe wants to sell luxury, maybe they've been in a mindset of helping first time home buyers, or they really haven't got into the luxury space? What do you think they need to do to differentiate themselves?
Yeah, again, I mean, it can be strategic, but it's also service oriented. I think you know, people ask me all the time when I speak around the country, especially at the big events like family reunion. You know, how do I become a luxury agent? And this could be, you know, while I'm playing blackjack, they'll come up and sit down next to me. Which, please don't do that if you see me at the blackjack table. But I have enough to focus on. But people do, and I always say it's looking at who's around you, assessing who the people are that you feel that you can provide excellent service to, possibly in a different way than another realtor, and attaching yourself to the people who maybe aren't in the luxury space, but you can grow with them. You know, I hate to say it, but you know, if you start in this business at 60, it's like starting in this business at 20. You're not going to have a deep bench of clients to sustain the next 10 years. But if somebody does start at 20 or 25, they're going to spend the next 5 years, 7 years building with those people in their sphere, in their age group, who hopefully, some of whom are going to become top earners, and they'll just grow with them. That to me is the way to do it, is to work with people who can provide you a path to working in luxury. You can't just forge it yourself and sit in luxury open house and become a luxury agent. I don't know why I'm so blurry. Sorry about that. I didn't do that on my end.
So what I'm hearing from you is it's not necessarily just jumping right into selling or representing listings that are luxury homes
Yeah.
or those buyers. But if you have a first time home buyer and they have an upward trajectory in their career path and their vision for their own life, that first time home buyer eventually is going to buy something at a higher price point. They're going to sell their existing home and they're going to grow, especially if you're a younger agent and your sphere of influence might be a younger generation, to not dismiss those transactions or those relationships, because those are tomorrow, those individuals are tomorrow's real champions, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely. If you dismiss those, you'll be stuck with pretty much no trajectory. I mean, for example, that deal that I closed this month for 15.5, I picked him up 20 years ago at his apartment on a little, you know, sort of downtrodden street in Hollywood to go show him property. And since then, I've done 6 sides with him, and his now wife, then girlfriend. So I've grown with him, having picked him up at a rental to drive him around that day. I got him by referral. And I thought, this dude's really smart. He went to Harvard and he wrote for Saturday Night Live, and he's really funny, and he seems like he might know some people. So yes, there's an element of quantifying and qualifying who these people are and how you can interact with their lives, become a service professional. I always say we're one step below the hairdresser because they don't see us as often, but we must provide a great haircut every time. And if you do that, you can grow with them, but it's got to be strategic. I mean, I think you guys where you are have a great opportunity because there's, you saw California was the highest in luxury sales. It's also like the 5th strongest economy in the world. It belies that statistic, because if it isn't the top, then we're in big trouble, But I mean, your market is so concentrated and so, layered. It's interesting because I own a house in Palm Springs as well, and that economy is similar to Vail. It's driven by the tourism. There's a very high-end clientele that comes into town during certain months of the year, and the rest of the year is service professionals. So I would think if I were in a market like that, I would kind of have a dual business plan, one for the high end and one for just the working professionals, and making sure I'm servicing them as well.
Interesting. And tell me about, as you've grown, you came into KW because of the team mindset and the ability to grow a business that's bigger than yourself and your own book of business. What are some of your standards that you lead by?
Gosh, is anybody on here from my team? Blake, are you here? They're probably on mute.
I'm here, yeah.
Okay. Do you want to answer that? You answered it the other day in terms of standards. Blake is my director of operations, by the way.
Yeah, I think a lot of it just comes down to like how we're kind of communicating with the world, with like clients and other agents in the deal. Anybody that we're coming in contact with, like there's like an expectation about like the professionalism that we have.
Doesn't Blake look like he's from Colorado?
The beard.
He actually is
from Colorado, funny enough.
He is from Colorado. So yeah, it's absolutely about the outward, that, keeping the standard high from within, which then presents itself in an outward capacity. And that's what people feel. I mean, there's so many stories, but the second version of team building that I did was I decided to use a name that was not specific to me, because I felt like team members want ownership, right? I mean, they want to feel like it's their brand as well. And I don't have the kind of ego that's built around, oh, it has to be me, it has to be my name, So we built something called LA Lux Group. And, the agents came to me kind of halfway through when we were pretty successful, 2 or 3, 4 years in. And they're like, can we change the name to Jeff Yarbrough Group? And I was like, why? And they're like, because we have to explain what LA Lux Group is. And then we have to explain who you are and that you're the founder of it, and that they should work with me as a new agent because of you, the founder of LA Lux Group. And they just felt that the Venn diagram that they had to construct to the outside world, even in the agent to agent space, was too complex. So that was the first time in the third version of team building that we used my name. And my name is only as good as my reputation. So I have to be super careful about how I interact with the world to keep my reputation as something that they can then in turn monetize and gain value from when they're in a negotiation, perhaps, or trying to get a showing with a luxury agent who really doesn't do showings unless they know you. All HUD legal reasons aside, there's a lot of agents that are very protective of who they let in and who they don't.
Interesting. And having this big team, a question that I just thought of. You know, there's this popular cultural buzz term that, you know, everything's about work-life balance. And I've also heard the flip side of that coin, that when you're maniacal about being successful, that there really isn't much balance in life, that you really have to focus on a few things at a high level of degree. Do you find that you have good balance in your life?
Oh, absolutely not. Um, Look, just with that graphic, I saw Sarah put up that graphic in the chat. Um, you know, it's a 24/7 business when it is, you know, and you have to manage that yourself. I think the trick is you have to figure that out. The balance isn't consistent. You can time block it all you want, and I think you should. Like my trainer is coming in, you know, at 9:15 to my house, 9:15 our time, because I can't go to the gym sometimes. You know, there's too much going on. So that's an example of trying to figure out how to get a workout into the day while doing this call and then doing a listing appointment after the training session. You know, you just have to figure it out yourself. I don't think there's anybody else that can really tell you how to give you a fulfilling, balanced life, because you are the only one that knows what that looks like in your world. You've got kids, you've got a partner, you've got stuff you have to do on the weekends. You know, I don't know your life is a famous line from some movie that I'm sure Blake knows, but I don't. But I've heard that line before, and so I never try to tell somebody how to do that or what to do. I do
Yeah.
think, though, if you're young, if you are 25 to 35, you shouldn't be trying to balance your life. You should be trying to build your success. That's all you should be doing. Enjoy your life. Have a great time. Party, go to the movies, go to sporting events, travel, but just focus on that, on building your success. Because by the time you get to 35 or 40, if you have not done it by then, it's over. So you're just going to be the average producer from then on for the rest of your life. You'll fall into one or two whales, but there's going to be no consistency. So if you don't take a hold of it during that decade, forget it. And the best thing to do is attach yourself to someone like me or one of my compatriots who run a great team, and learn from them and take what you can from them. Just suck them as dry as you can. Provide a lot of value for them so they see you in a sea of 15 or 20 people and start to pour into you. You know, if you don't do that, you know, again, it's up to you. It's just levels of what do you want, really.
Right. And I know my personal experience throughout my life, and other agents that I'm close with have also come to a truth as I've gotten older in my mid 40s. It's nice making money, but it never feels as good making money than it does to give it away. It's much more rewarding as I've gotten progressed in my career throughout life, to be of service and to have a service mindset, but also to give back. How do you and your team give back?
Yeah, you know, you know, we're partnered with Place, which is Ben Kinney and Chris Suarez's back end support and technology company. And, you know, Ben talks a lot about giving back, a lot about balance. On the operator call yesterday, which we sit for an hour and talk as the operators of 300 some teams around the country and the world, we were talking about exactly this. Like, some people had not identified that. And I find that really fascinating. There's nothing wrong about that. In fact, it's kind of exciting that they realize that they haven't figured that out yet. Either that charitable aspect, that giving back to their community. Look, I think it's kind of, you know, it's a no-brainer in real estate. We are in a business that is about a fundamental, primal scenario, which is shelter. You know, the cave people needed a cave to get away from the saber tooth. And essentially, I see that in almost every deal I do, whether it's a rich person, a rock star, a movie actor. They can become unhinged in a deal because I think their primal brain starts to take over, because it's about protection, it's about solitude, it's about rest, it's about enjoyment and thriving when they are in that home. So I think it flips a switch, and it's why I say a real estate deal in the high end can bring out the worst or the best in people. And I think that's why. So I always think about that. So if our business is about shelter, then we should be also, we're taking money for that. We're making sometimes 6-figure commissions because of doing that, getting people into homes. So I think our focus should be something around housing or the unhoused or something along those lines to kind of form an interesting balance in our world, in our micro world, not the world, but in our world of being agents. And I'm not saying you can't volunteer at a hospital and that's your passion, do it. But if somebody's trying to figure it out, like that's why I'm involved in animal rescue, because they need homes too. You know, I've said that a million times that, you know, I work all day trying to find people homes. And then what really gives me a sense of fulfillment is either just giving money from every closing to an animal rescue or actually getting out there in the trenches and, you know, shoveling in the stalls, you know?
Yeah.
So that's up to everybody. And I leave it up to my team. I never believe in telling people what to do. Like today, we're going to go hand out flyers about a rescue opportunity at a pet store. That it's up to them, because to me that's so personal and so passion driven that I just lead in that case by example. Like I do it, you can do it, or you cannot do it. I think it depends on the person and where they're at.
That's amazing. And in the sake of time, everyone, I just want to open it up. Does anyone in our call today at the lift have any questions for Jeff? Anything we didn't cover that you'd like to know?
I think I did my job.
Well, I'll ask you,
I have a question.
Jeff, this is something that off script a little bit. Either business and life, your choice, or both. What is the greatest lesson you've learned?
Business or life.
Or a few great lessons you've learned?
Well, one thing I always think about is, and this has nothing to do with current technology, but I'm always fascinated that how, if you're at all sort of known in a community, that you're being watched. Like everything you do is being clocked by somebody. And, you know, having worked with, because I'm not a famous person, I'm not a TV broker. I was on Selling LA for a season, but that was many years ago. You can find it on YouTube. But now I'm much too old to be monetized by Bravo, so you won't see me on there. But I'm just talking about being a part of a community of sort of in the entertainment field where everybody's being looked at, so I'm careful. And I think it is a lesson that if you do anything out of character, that can start to define you. You know, there was an example of this recently in our tight little gossipy Beverly Hills city limit real estate scene, where somebody taped a phone conversation that somebody was having in the office. They weren't they just had their phone and they were recording the audio. And this poor guy who I know had kind of lost his mind, and he was screaming at a staff member in the brokerage on his phone. And he was fired later that day for, I believe, the 4th time for doing this, from 3 other brokerages. And he's now at a 5th brokerage. So he's got some life lessons to learn. But what he's not recognized is people believe what you do and what they see, not maybe who's inside of you. So I believe as an agent, we always have to be representing the best of ourselves. And I think that leaks over into private life too. You know, I think we have to be out there trying to be kind. Someone mentioned the word kind earlier and it kind of hit me. I just got on the call. I don't know who you were, ma'am, but you were talking about someone that you encouraged to join your brokerage, and you were like, she's really kind. And I was like, wow, God, that word has so much power. You know, just that word defined her to me. I knew her. Oh wow, she's that cool person that like helps other people. You know, people look up to her. She's, you know, it's interesting. So to me, the life lesson is kind of, you know, find that authentic self that serves the community you live in and also serves you in the place in which you make your living.
And Allie, you have a question. One more question for the sake of time.
Okay. First of all, thank you for being here, Jeff. It's been great.
Sure.
My question is actually pretty generic. I changed it while you were talking. I wanted to know, how do you define hope for you as a person and in this
There you
industry?
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one, right? Because our industry is so filled with ups and downs and arounds that you know, I think where it's funny, you asked me to define it. It's hard to define it, but I think I can tell you where I think it lives and where it can be found are in those moments where you accomplish what that client wants to accomplish. And that always makes me hopeful for the next deal and the next deal and the next deal is when I see them maybe tear up, you know, when you hand them the key, or just get so excited that the deal is done and they got what they want, and now it's time to sell my house. You know, I think it's the excitement of what we do, and again, I think that goes back to what we do is so fundamental and so base. You know, you talked about base camp, which I loved. All your terms were ski terms, so at least I felt I knew what you were talking about, having skied a lot as a kid. But I think at the base, at the core of it all, I think what we do is super important. I think people undervalue and overlook the processes that we are walking people through. It's not easy. It's not easy all the way up and down the food chain for them, and that's why I think being a luxury agent is actually simply understanding, respecting how difficult that process is, and providing support and knowledge and direction and advice to them through that transaction.
That's great.
Thank you.
Well,
Sure.
Jeff, thank you so much for joining us today. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for another great week of the lift. And we so appreciate your contribution today. And we will all see you next week, same time, same place.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.